Welcome to the COMC Community Spotlight Show here on Lake TV, brought to you by the great folks at COMC, Central Ozarks Medical Center, where your health is their mission. And we have got a politician with us here today. That's not very, we don't do that very often here on this show.
You want to limit that.
That's
you want
right.
to limit that as little as possible.
Absolutely. But you are a state senator
Yep.
here in Missouri, and you're running for governor.
Yep.
So we're here early in the process and thought we would find out more about you. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's Bill Eigel here. So you've been in the Senate since 2017, I think.
Yes, that's where you can tell by the amount of gray hair I've got going on.
6
here.
years.
So it's about I just finished my 7th year.
And now you want to be governor. Why in the world? Okay, first of all, how do you jump into politics in this crazy world that we are in today? Why jump into politics?
So absolutely. First, thanks for having me. A little bit of background that led me to this point here. You know, my background is a military veteran. I served in the Air Force for 8 years. My last assignment was at Whiteman Air Force Base right outside of Kansas City.
Okay.
I was an aircraft maintenance officer on the B-2 stealth bomber. Got out of the Air Force. My wife was also in the service, and we bought a little small construction company in St. Charles, up outside of St. Louis, and we were very fortunate to be successful running a little construction company. We did skylights. I like to joke that I made a living cutting holes in people's roofs for 10 years. So I didn't want anything to do with politics. I avoided politics. But what I didn't realize at that point was that if you're not thinking about politics is thinking about you.
Yeah.
I didn't find politics. Politics found me, right? And when we were going through the 2014, 2015 time frame, remember Obamacare was coming on board. You
Right.
remember those days that
nothing's going to change.
You could keep your doctor, your premiums are going to go down. Well, my premiums in my small business went up 70%. And I thought to myself, after having a conversation with my wife, that we got to find a way to get involved and be a part of this process. So that led to me getting engaged in the political discussion. I ultimately ran for the state Senate, where I've been for the past 6 years. And it's interesting. I talk about being a military veteran, and people say, oh, that's great. And I talk about being a small business owner, and that's great. And you mentioned that you're a politician. People say, oh, well, what happened? Well,
Right.
We are fighting for Missouri, and the reason I'm running for governor, to your next point, is I think we need a bold, conservative Missouri that's going to be a leader in this country. If you look at the state right now, we're electing a lot of Republicans, but very little is getting done on conservative policy that is going to prosper this state. So if you look at the other big red states that are prospering, Tennessee, Texas, Florida, those are the states that people are moving to. Mm-hmm. And we're missing out on that economic opportunity. We're missing out on being the leaders when it comes to the protection of rights in this state. And I've got 2 children. They're 19 and 17 years old. And I want them to find opportunity here within the borders of the Show Me State. And so if we're going to reach that future, I'm not satisfied that an extension of the status quo down in Jefferson City, as exemplified by some of the other folks running for this position, is going to get us there. So I'm the disruptor. I'm the one that's going to go bring a reckoning to this status quo that got us stuck in stagnation, and we're going to get to a better Missouri. Let's go, Missouri.
Okay, and you mentioned earlier that we've got a lot of Republicans, but nothing's getting done,
That's right.
or very little's getting done. How is that possible? I mean, you've got Republicans in there. They're supposed to be working for their people and doing conservative things.
Right.
But it seems like the opposite is happening. How is that happening?
Well, it's not a problem with our principles. Our principles are right, but unfortunately our politicians are weak. And a lot of the ill will that's felt towards public officials right now, the trust level with public officials is probably lower than it's ever been. Unfortunately, it's justified, especially in the state of Missouri. We have all these Republicans down there, but really what they've done for most of the past 10 to 15 years is grow government. Government's now bigger than it's ever been before in the state of Missouri. You and I are paying more taxes to the state, to the local areas, to the federal government than we've ever paid before, even adjusted for inflation. So government's doing great. Well, I'm looking around at small businesses and families in this state that aren't doing so great. That opportunity, we aren't growing like the other big red states. And it's not because Republicans don't stand for low taxes. It's because elected Republicans in Jefferson City have been spending their time growing government instead of making good on campaign promises.
So I heard a Republican say a couple years ago during the campaign process that the guy that was holding the seat at that time that he was trying to unseat was actually like a sheep in wolf's clothing. It was kind of like was once a Democrat, turned Republican, won the seat, but was still voting Democrat, basically. Right. Does that really happen?
It absolutely happens. In fact, it happens to such a degree in Jefferson City that a guy like me that actually has the conservative voting record that I promised that I would when I was running the first time, I feel like I'm in the minority down there. We have a center-left coalitions of Democrats and very soft Republicans that now have the state of Missouri spending twice per citizen what states like Florida are spending, even though nobody's going to argue that we have a more elderly population that needs more resources than the state of Missouri. So the state of Florida, but it's frustrating. And I've traveled around the state. I put 40,000 miles on my truck just in the past 11 months, going all over the state. And I'm hearing from Republicans that they're furious. Look at a guy like, does it happen in Jefferson City? Look at a guy like Mike Kehoe. He's our lieutenant governor, wants to be governor as well. He was the one standing up in defense of the gas tax increase, wanting to raise the cost of gas in this state. I just filled up my tank of gas earlier this morning, paying almost $4 a gallon.
Yeah.
And it was Republicans standing with Democrats to make that even more expensive. Well, that's why Republicans don't trust politicians. Yeah. And so I'm going in there saying that we have an opportunity to be a leader in this country, but we've got to elect someone to the highest position in the state that is going to defeat the status quo, not join it.
My next question is going to be, is it too late? Now, we got to take a break. We're talking with Bill Eigel. He is a Missouri State Senator running for governor, and so we're trying to get to know him a little bit. We'll have more with the senator right after this. Central Ozarks Medical Center, voted Missouri's best and best at the lake, is recruiting team members due to growth. Amazing employment opportunities for both medical and non-medical positions with competitive salaries and outstanding perks. For more information, go to the Careers tab at centralozarks.org. COMC for the best medical, dental, and behavioral health care. Join a leader. Join our team. COMC, where your health is our mission. If you love the lake, you gotta love Lake TV. If it's happening at the lake, it's happening on Lake TV. From the polar plunge to festivals, parades, aquapalooza, and boat shows, Lake TV has it all. Even the granddaddy of them all, the shootouts. If you're looking for places to party, things to do, or even a new home to move into, you've gotta love Lake TV. Welcome back to the COMC Community Spotlight Show here on Lake TV. We're talking with State Senator Bill Eigel, running for governor. And we were talking a few minutes ago about the state of government today, which seems to be a pretty sad state of affairs all over the whole country. It almost seems to be too far gone to bring it back. Is that the case? Can this be saved? I mean, in Missouri and in the country, can it be saved?
100% yes, absolutely. It's never too late. In fact, a lot of the message that I have for folks that are very disillusioned right now with how things are going, how things have been, is that I'm telling them, don't let go. We're seeing a revolution in the state of Missouri right now. And what I mean by that is that right now, whether it's from local school boards to state Senate races to what I believe is going to be the governor's race next year, the type of Republican that's getting elected in all over the state is the one that is planning and saying and actually becoming the disruptors of the status quo that we need to get back on track. In the governor's race, I'm going to be that guy as a leader of the state. I have no intention, just like I haven't for the past 7 years, of assimilating into the swamp culture of Jefferson City that is wasting those tax dollars. I'm going to go down there and kick over their apple carts.
So how does that happen, though? How do like Washington, D.C. is undeniably a terrible swamp, right? Is Jefferson City the same way? How does that happen in government cities where that just seems to happen?
Because when the government continues to take more and more of your money, there is a point at which other outside special interest groups want to start trying to benefit from all that money. And that's now because government is bigger than it's ever been before in Jefferson City. That's precisely what's happening. These millions and billions of dollars of incentives going to wasteful spending projects, going to powerful corporate special interest. And Mike Kehoe is a guy, and Jay Ashcroft, they have been at kind of the forefront of allowing that to happen. They've been facilitating that. They represent the status quo, going back for more than a generation in one of their cases. So that is something that we've got to get away from. We cannot continue to elect the same old type of Republican that is going to promise you they're going to cut your taxes in campaign season, but raise the cost of your gas taxes once they get into office.
Yeah.
That's what we've got to get away from. That's why people are frustrated with politicians. I'm going to be the difference.
Well, and so you're running for governor. That's a big job, right? I mean, there's a lot of pressure, a lot of heat, all that stuff. Does your past, have you been prepared for that? I mean, I know you were in the Air Force, and you and your wife were in the Air Force and everything. What did you do there that might help you as a governor?
Absolutely. I was deployed overseas in support of Operation Enduring Freedom. Got to see and do time in a former Soviet country called Turkmenistan that actually was ruled at the time by the former Communist Party chair of the province of Turkmenistan in the Soviet Union. And I got to see what big government actually looks like when it goes fully into tyranny, where you have a armed militia guard on every street corner, where you have the currency of the country get inflated to the point that their local currency, which was the manat, $1 was equal to 1 manat when they first broke off to the Soviet Union. By the time I got there in 2004, $1 was worth 25,000 manat. So the danger of big government, oppressing a people, the failure to protect the rights of the people, that's where the left is trying to take this country right now.
We're kind of sliding that direction,
We're
aren't we?
sliding that, and there's too few folks, President Donald J. Trump is one of them, who are trying to stop us in that slide. Well, I'm a big believer that the governor of the state can help stop in that slide. If I thought that leader, that fighter, that champion was already running for governor, trust me, I wouldn't be interested in running myself.
Yeah, you take the heat, right?
But yeah, exactly right. But the reality is the only other candidates in this race are just going to be continuations of that status quo, and that neither of them have a message that's going to resonate with Missouri Republicans who want to change a pace and want to take their state back.
So you're the underdog here. I mean, you're going up against big names, Ashcroft, Kehoe, stuff like that.
That's right.
You are pretty confident you can win?
Hey, the heritage of America is the underdog winning. I mean, everything that we look at as being an American, being the underdog and overcoming the big guy that has more money or have more name ID or a bigger military, right? If you look back in American history, that's who we are. And so it doesn't surprise me. When I ran for the state senate in the first time, there were other folks that I was competing against that had a bunch of name ID, had a bunch of money, and we won those races too because I was the one that broke through and was able to look the constituents of St. Charles in the eye and say, I'm going to be the one that's fighting for you even after the campaign is over. I've been that person for 7 years. I think Missouri's looking for that champion. Message trumps name ID and money every time. You know, the consultant class, the swamp wants you to believe differently. But I have seen, just in the last election cycle, we saw candidates for state senate win, even though they were being outspent 7-1, beating incumbents that had not been beaten in a race like that since World War I. So there is a change happening in the state of Missouri, a desire for that champion for the rights of the people to come forward and lead this state to that better future that we're not living in today. I'm going to be that person, and we're going to win this race.
Okay. So we're running out of time, and I'm going to ask you a question that needs a lot more time, so you're going to have to make this really short. But people think that the election system is broken.
Right.
It sure seemed like it was in 2020 and 2022. Are you confident, and again, we're down to the last few seconds, so give me a real quick answer here. Are you confident that your work won't be overridden by dirty politics or broken election system?
Well, we're always going to have to fight the swamp, but I'll say this. I am the only gubernatorial candidate that is supporting getting rid of every one of the machines in our elections because I don't trust them. I think they have vulnerabilities, that it's not being addressed by our Secretary of State, Jay Ashcroft, and nothing's going to get done from Mike Kehoe. When I'm the governor of this state, we are going to get rid of every one of those machines and go back to the hand counting of ballots that has worked for the state of Missouri for more than a century. And those kind of policy positions that I'm taking are what's going to win this race. The only way those other guys can win is if they can make this race about something other than policy. But there's a saying, I'll leave you with this. There's a saying inscribed down in the Capitol, on the first floor of the Missouri Capitol, that says, ideas will rule the world. Our ideas about reforming broken government, our ideas about fixing our election, cutting our taxes, and being a leader in this country is going to attract a lot of people to want to support me next year.
Okay. How do people get more information? Where do they go?
BillEigel.com. We've had 30,000 people sign up already. BillEigel.com, EIGEL. Check it out. If you're interested, you like my message, sign up. Let's be part of the team. Let's go, Missouri.